Diet culture has gone through so many trends over the years. Don't eat fats, don't eat carbs. And at the end of the day, most of us have trouble sticking to any rigid diet whatsoever. But I never thought that the simple act of just delaying my eating could have such a profound result. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. So I'm coming to you today from beautiful Bogota, Colombia. For those of you who are new here, I am a flight attendant as well as a certified health coach. So I do often travel for my work. So today we are going to be talking about intermittent fasting, why it is such a powerful tool for sustainable weight loss, as well as overall health in the body. And we're going to be talking about 3 different ways to do intermittent fasting. So I just want to take a moment here to quickly say I am a certified health coach. However, I am not a medical doctor. I do recommend checking in with your doctor or trusted medical professional before you undertake intermittent fasting, just to make sure there are no contraindications. And I will say, if you do have a history of eating disorders, intermittent fasting can be very tricky. I would be very cautious if you do have a history of this sort, just because it could be a little bit triggering. And if it is something that you want to do, then I would recommend checking in with both your doctor and perhaps a trusted therapist. I do highly recommend reading Dr. Fung's book, The Obesity Code, if you're interested in learning the medical explanation behind insulin resistance and the research for intermittent fasting. Honestly, when I was thinking about doing intermittent fasting and I was a little apprehensive about it, this book actually really reassured me quite a bit that I was not doing something terrible to my body. So can't recommend this book enough for learning more about intermittent fasting from a medical doctor who cites quite a lot of research. So when I was pregnant with my daughter about 6 years ago, I gained a lot of weight, like 50 pounds of it. And that definitely was not all baby weight, although some of it was, and also a good amount of it was water retention. But regardless, I was not worried. I was sure I was going to lose the weight after giving birth. And then when that did not completely happen, I figured it would happen from breastfeeding. I mean, breastfeeding is supposed to make you lose a crazy amount of weight, right? Not in my case. So it was extremely difficult for me to lose the pregnancy weight, actually. Not that it's easy to stick to a diet or a fitness plan of any kind when you have a newborn at home and you're averaging 2 to 3 hours of sleep per night. And my well-intentioned husband kept shoving chocolate into both of our mouths in order to help us stay awake through the many nighttime wake-ups that we were experiencing with a newborn. And so that didn't really help either with the weight loss process. I mean, some nights we were averaging, 1 Toblerone each, and I mean the large ones. So needless to say, I gained even more weight during this time. So little by little, however, my daughter started to sleep longer stretches at night and breastfeeding for shorter and shorter periods. And that was the point where I was starting to get serious about weight loss and seeing, okay, what can we do about this? The extra weight, it did bother me, honestly. I didn't really quite feel like myself anymore. And just to clarify quickly, this is not a judgment on anyone's weight, on any weight gain that might result of a pregnancy or something else. It's such a personal thing, your weight. I think we do have to all accept that we have different body types. I'm curvy, I always will be. I'm actually happy with that. But I think it's a matter of having your own happy place with your weight. So there's a kind of a balance between acceptance of your body type and then also the weight that you feel best at, that you feel is right for you. So it really can be a delicate balance. It's a very, very personal thing. So my aim in today's video, it's not to tell you what's right for you whatsoever, but to just give you tools that helped me personally in my weight loss journey, and I hope that they can be helpful for you as well. So supermodel Adriana Lima famously walked the runway in the Victoria's Secret fashion show only 8 weeks after giving birth. So I figured, well, shouldn't be too hard, right? This weight loss thing. I pulled out all my old weight loss tricks from before I was pregnant, and these had worked really well pre-baby whenever I needed to look a little bit slimmer for an event or for a film, whenever I had indulged a little too much on vacation. So I cut my carbs, I drank lots of water, I sweat a lot, I exercised, and then I barely lost any weight doing this. So at this point, I decided I needed to get a little more drastic with my weight loss methods, and I tried the keto diet. So keto worked well initially, and I was finally able to start losing some weight. Unfortunately, after losing the first 10 pounds, I hit a plateau and it just wasn't working anymore. So that wasn't great. And also, I really missed carbs. So I started doing what I always do when I desperately want to find a solution, which is research, a lot of research. And all my research on losing stubborn weight, turning up the same answer, intermittent fasting. And honestly, I really hated the idea. I love to eat, so why would I intentionally starve myself? But I really wanted a solution, so I decided to give it a try. So fasting is actually a very old and ancient practice, and it can be found in the history of just about every ancient culture around the world. In my own Jewish culture, we have a holy day once a year where you fast for 24 hours, as well as other smaller fasts throughout the year that are still practiced nowadays by very religious practitioners. In 2016, Japanese cellular biologist Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize for Medicine for his research on how cells recycle and renew themselves through a process called autophagy. So autophagy is actually a really interesting phenomenon that occurs as a result of prolonged periods of fasting. The word autophagy literally means self-eating, which I know is a little off, but this is a process where the body actually consumes dead or diseased cells in the body. And there have been a lot of promising studies that show that autophagy not only lowers inflammation throughout the body, but it actually slows down the aging process and even prevents the growth of cancerous cells. So I like to think of it as kind of like a self-cleaning oven, you know, the self-cleaning button on an oven. So intermittent fasting works because it lowers insulin levels. Insulin resistance is a common block to weight loss, especially after giving birth when your insulin levels are pretty high. So the idea with intermittent fasting is that you have periods of fasting where it's no food, only water, sparkling water, and black coffee are permitted. So during your non-fasting windows, you can eat normally without depriving yourself. So no, I don't mean you eat whatever you want. Doesn't mean go to a diet of all chips. But it does mean you can give yourself a little bit of leeway as long as you're eating a generally healthy diet. So I do enjoy some desserts in moderation, and I don't stress over it because I know that intermittent fasting is going to lower my insulin levels. So another huge benefit to intermittent fasting, a huge boost in energy levels. You'll be surprised by how much more productive and energetic you feel during your fasting periods. And as someone who has suffered in the past from Hashimoto's, my autoimmune condition, the fatigue that can sometimes go along with that, that is really pretty cool. So there's many different ways to do intermittent fasting. And through a little bit of experimentation, you're going to find which method works best for you and your body. And I will say what's really cool with intermittent fasting is it's really, really flexible. So you actually can mix up different techniques if you want to, and different days that you're doing your fasting. So I'm going to talk a little bit about 3 of the most popular methods of doing intermittent fasting. And I just want to caution you with intermittent fasting, do start slowly. So it can be a little bit challenging in the beginning if you're not used to it. I would recommend just starting out with a 12-hour fast to begin with. And yes, the hours that you sleep do count as part of that fast. So if you're sleeping an 8-hour night, you're actually only fasting 4 hours. So you're going to slowly build up from there. I will say the kind of magic number with fasting is usually a minimum of 16 hours, yes, including sleep. But I do recommend just starting out initially with those 12 hours. And so another quick note on fasting. Remember, no food does not mean no water. In fact, you should drink even even more water than usual to avoid dehydration while you're doing intermittent fasting. So sparkling water and black coffee, no milk, no sugar, and black tea are all allowed during your fast. So let's talk a little bit about my favorite method, which is 16-8 intermittent fasting. So this is one of the most popular types of intermittent fasting, and 16-8 refers to fasting for 16 hours a day and then giving yourself an eating window of the remaining 8 hours of the day. So you can do it every day, or you can just do it a few days a week and take the weekends off, which is honestly, that's what I like to do. I usually prefer to do intermittent fasting during the week when we're all busy with work and my daughter's at school. And then on the weekends, I enjoy having breakfast or brunch with my family. So remember, once again, the amount of time that you are sleeping also counts towards those 16 hours. So it's not necessarily that you are awake fasting for 16 hours. So the way that people do this type of fast usually is to stop eating after dinner, whatever time that is, and you just sort of close the kitchen, so to say, after you finish dinner, and then you skip breakfast the next morning and then start eating again with a very late lunch or early dinner. So this method has worked really well for me and become a natural part of life for me. And honestly, I really enjoy the ease of having just a big steaming cup of black coffee for breakfast. Maybe it's not for everyone, but I actually have learned to enjoy it. Yes, there was a time that I would have said like, oh, black coffee, gross. But honestly, I actually really have a taste for it now. Even if you think you wouldn't like just black coffee or black tea, I would recommend just trying it for a bit. You would be amazed how quickly your body adapts to less sugar or even no sugar. And honestly, now when I try sweetened coffee, it tastes like a dessert to me. So I might have it as like an occasional treat, but I don't see it as a normal way that I would like to take my coffee. So honestly, at this point, I really enjoy starting out my day with a black cup of coffee for breakfast. I start out my day with a lot of energy, no dishes. Can't beat that, right? So I don't necessarily do it every day. I do it an average of 4 to 5 days a week, depending on what's going on with my schedule. So if you really hate the idea of skipping breakfast, however, you can change the pattern to suit you. So you can skip dinner if you prefer, and then eat whatever you like for breakfast. The beauty of intermittent fasting is that it is so flexible. You know, it's really, as long as you are fasting for a certain period of time, and again, that magic number, it usually starts at 16, you can work it in to fit your lifestyle and your preferences, and you can play with it a little bit. So if you're not seeing the results that you want from a 16-hour fast, then I would recommend pushing it up to 17 hours. So it just depends on where you are with your body, how strong your insulin resistance is, meaning like how hard it is for your body to bring those insulin levels down so that you can lose weight. I have a friend who swears that 17 hours is the magic number for him. So try the 16 hours. If it's not working for you, then give the 17 hours a shot. But remember, build up slowly. So the next method we'll discuss is 24-hour fasts. So 24-hour fast is obviously more challenging than 16 hours. And while I would not recommend starting out with a 24-hour fast, I do them myself from time to time if I feel that I want to lose some weight for some reason. So I would do 16 hours normally to just maintain, but if I really was trying to lose additional weight, that's when I would bring in a 24-hour fast, or if I just felt like my body really needed a cleanse. So a 24-hour fast is really just what it sounds like. You stop eating at the time of your choice, say 6 p.m., and then you're only going to have water, sparkling water, black coffee, or black tea until the next day at 6 p.m. So really 24 hours. So if you're brand new to fasting, this might sound impossible. But believe me when I tell you, as hard as you might think it is, at a certain point, you won't even feel hungry. It's kind of a weird thing that happens with fasting. Your hunger cues start to change a little bit, and you will feel an incredible amount of energy. Remember, you are drinking tons of water. when you do this kind of fast. It's really important that you don't get dehydrated. And again, this is not something you would start with. This is something you would do slowly. If you have any health conditions, by all means, check with your doctor, your medical professional before taking on a larger fast like this. So I really like to use 24-hour fasts to jump through weight loss plateaus. If I feel like, maybe I gained a few pounds on vacation or something and I want to get back to a certain weight, then that's when I might bring in a 24-hour fast. If you are doing a 24-hour fast, I would recommend doing it no more than once or maximum twice a week. You really don't want to do it more than that because your body still does need food, remember. So the next method we're going to talk about is bulletproof fasting. And this one is a little bit controversial within the intermittent fasting world. So bulletproof refers to bulletproof coffee, which was invented by biohacker Dave Asprey after trying yak butter tea on a trek to Tibet. So simply put, it is brewed hot coffee that is blended with 1 to 2 tablespoons of unsalted grass-fed butter. Kerrygold is a great brand for that. Or you can use ghee if you're avoiding dairy, and a tablespoon of MCT oil, which is an extract of coconut oil. And you can also use what Dave Asprey recommends is his brand, which is, he calls it Brain Octane Oil. That's his brand of MCT oil. So you blend all of this in a heat-proof blender for about a minute, or you can use a hand mixer. And honestly, I gotta say, this coffee is seriously amazing. I also had my doubts. I know, sounds crazy, blending butter in your coffee, but honestly, it's really good. Anyone who knows me knows that I wake up in the morning like a complete zombie. And honestly, this coffee can bring me to life in an instant. It's amazing. While I normally do have my black coffee, once in a while, I still do this bulletproof coffee. And it was something that I was doing a lot in the beginning when I was first learning how to do intermittent fasting. This coffee, honestly tastes like a really creamy cappuccino. Really, I'm not kidding. This coffee, this will keep you full until lunchtime. And if you're brand new to intermittent fasting and you just want to experiment a little, this might be a good way to try. And this also puts you into a similar kind of ketosis state that the keto diet does. So it is still helpful. Is it as dramatic as the traditional intermittent fasting? No, it isn't. But it is a great way to start out with intermittent fasting, or if you're really just having too much of a hard time with intermittent fasting, give this a try with the bulletproof coffee. I still think it will help with your weight loss efforts and it will help you break a little bit out of that plateau. Also, honestly, if you just need a little pick-me-up in the afternoon, bulletproof coffee is pretty cool. I don't do it all the time, but I do like it when I try it. So why is bulletproof fasting considered a bit controversial within the fasting world? Well, because of the addition of small amounts of butter and coconut oil. People consider bulletproof fasting to not really be a pure fast, which truthfully, it is not a pure fast. However, as Dave Asprey asserts, pure fats do not raise insulin levels in the body, and therefore your body does continue to be in a fasted state, so to say, even after consuming bulletproof coffee. So as with all types of fasting, see what works best for you. So I think that bulletproof fasting is definitely a more gentle way to begin your fasting journey. Honestly, I think it hardly even feels like fasting. But again, if you are not seeing the results that you desire from bulletproof fasting, then do try fasting with just a black coffee or experiment and try both on different days and see what's working for you. For me personally, when I wanted to lose weight quickly, I did do without the bulletproof coffee, and I did find that that had more dramatic results for me. Not that the bulletproof coffee didn't work at all, it just was not as dramatic. So in terms of intermittent fasting in general, regardless of which method you use, honestly, I personally have been thrilled with the results. It did take me some time initially, but I've been so happy with the results. Slowly and surely, the numbers on the scale got smaller and smaller. My clothes got looser and looser. And honestly, now I'm at a weight that I feel really happy with. And it's pretty easy for me to maintain with just my few days a week of my 16-hour fasts. And honestly, I don't feel deprived at all. So there you have it. 3 different styles of intermittent fasting for you to experiment with. Again, if you're new to fasting, please start slow. It gets much easier as your body gets used to it. Experiment and try different styles of fasting to see what really works for your body, your lifestyle. I've done a combination of all 3 of these styles, and I've worked it into my life in a way that really works for me. When you're within your eating window, just make sure to eat lots of protein and vegetables so that you're really nourishing yourself properly. Because remember, if you're eating fewer times in the day, you need to make sure that you're getting nutrient-dense foods into your diet. Remember, fasting is about helping your body to lower insulin levels and cleanse, not deprivation. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. And if you would like a free ebook full of amazing health hacks that fit perfectly with your busy schedule, then just go to this link right here and grab your copy. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys, and I'll see you soon.